I can see it. I can hear you, so everything is fine.
Okay, in the first session, we'll discuss a bit about Kafka Connect, and we will cover some basics without going into a great depth about it. There are three parts in the agenda, and we'll try to find out what Kafka Connect can do for us and why should we use it. After that, we'll have a high-level overview of Kafka Connect, where we'll discuss about the architecture and some of the concepts. And in the end, we'll put everything together in a short demonstration. First of all, who am I? My name is Adriano Rofel. I have more than 16 years experience in systems engineering. I'm a big fan of automation. And since 2018, I am an operation engineer in ING Tech, Romania. I am a member in a DevOps team that is offering Kafka as a service. And in ING Tech, we are managing multiple Kafka clusters, which are used by hundreds of applications. And beside Kafka, we are also offering some other solutions from the Kafka ecosystem, like Schema Registry, Kafka Connect, and Replicator. In ING, we are using the Confluent flavor of Kafka. Confluent was founded by the original developers of Kafka, and they are the main contributors to the project. Let's start with what is Kafka Connect and why should we use it. In theory, using Kafka in our applications is very easy. We have Kafka client libraries written in multiple languages like Java, C, .NET, Go, or Python. And we simply embed the client libraries in our applications. We configure the Kafka client, and we just get our data in and out of Kafka. We can do, for example, we can use our application to produce messages in Kafka using the Kafka Producer API, or we can use the Consumer API to consume messages from Kafka, or we can have both APIs, both the consumer and producer APIs to read and produce messages in Kafka. This looks very easy, but in reality things are more complicated. That's because our applications usually need to interact with data stored in external systems. And for example, we might need to pull data from one external system, process the data, and after that, we need to push it into another external systems. And these external systems are quite varied. We can use databases, object storage, data warehouses, message queues, or even flat files. And in order to interact with the external systems and to push and pull data in and out of Kafka, we need to add code into our application, and this increases the complexity of our application. Another key aspect when exchanging data between multiple applications and the external systems is the data serialization. all these various systems may use different data formats, and all need to understand each other. Data producers and consumers need to agree upon a data format. Besides the data serialization, we might also need to transform our data. And by transform, I mean simple operations like changing a specific field from one data format to another, or masking a field, or we might even do more complex operations like aggregation or joining data from multiple sources. Another challenge is the parallelism and the scaling of our application or pipeline. This is because applications are always evolving, and the architecture we are using today might satisfy our needs tomorrow. For example, the volume of data or the number of our clients may increase or decrease, and the application needs to easily scale out or scale in. And there is also fault tolerance that needs to be taken into consideration. This is a critical element in our pipelines. Multiple pieces need to fit together, and components can fail and will fail. So a robust application needs to recover with minimal intervention. So all these challenges add more complexity to our applications. Now the important question, why Kafka Connect? As I already mentioned, it is not easy to deal with all the requirements of a robust application, especially when we need to interact with multiple data sources. And this is where Kafka Connect comes into play. So going back to our initial scenario, we let's say we have our application here that pulls data from external systems. For example, multiple MySQL tables from a database. Our application needs to aggregate or transform this data, and it needs to publish it in a Kafka or in multiple Kafka topics. And we have the same application that might read again that data, or we can even have other applications. And that data might go again through some aggregations or transformation, and after that we need to push it in one or multiple data sources. For example, let's say Elasticsearch or AWS S3. And in this case, we would have to embed third-party libraries or to develop our own libraries to connect to the external data sources. And also we need to configure and maintain the configuration for the connection parameters for all these data sources. This can be greatly simplified with Kafka Connect. So the complexity of our application can be moved in a fault-tolerant and a scalable solution. and this lets us focus on developing our applications features rather than writing code to integrate with other systems. So now we have Kafka Connect, which is using source connectors to read data from various data sources. And the source connectors can do some light transformation on our data. It can serialize our data in a standard data format. And after that, it is pushing our data into a Kafka topic or multiple topics. And now the application can read that data from our Kafka topics, and it can do more advanced transformations or aggregations on our data. And after that, it can push the new data into Kafka topics. And we have sync connectors that read our new aggregated data, again can apply some light transformation, and after that it is pushing the data to. And what I have just showed you is actually an ETL pipeline, and this is where Kafka Connect fits perfectly. We have the source connectors that are in charge of the extract part, and we have the sync connectors that are doing the load part in the ETL pipeline. And our application can do some heavyweight transformations on our data. Usually, we can use some stream processing engines like Spark or Kafka Streams to do the heavy lifting for our transformations. And Kafka Connect offers a great flexibility in our pipeline because both extract and load part components are now decoupled from our application, and we can use the same data sources across different applications. And there is a more specific use case for Kafka Connect, where in the source we have a Kafka cluster, and in the destination we have another Kafka cluster. And we can replicate topics or even entire clusters from one Kafka cluster to another, or we can aggregate multiple topics from a source cluster into a destination cluster. And here are some specialized connectors like Confluent Replicator or Mirror Maker too. And the great advantage with Kafka Connect is that there are a lot of connectors we can choose from, and these connectors can interact with various data sources. There are connectors for a lot of services offered by public cloud like AWS, Google Cloud, Azure. Connectors used to access various databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Cassandra, just to name a few. Or we can access message queues like RabbitMQ, ActiveMQ, or JMS. And we can even extract information from flat files, for example, from JSON formatted files. And also Kafka Connect is extendable. We can write our own connectors if we don't find one useful for our use case. Let's continue with a high-level overview and go through a few concepts and terminology used by Kafka Connect. So we have connectors, which are a high-level abstraction that coordinates data streaming. And these connectors are managing tasks, which implement the way data is copied from Kafka or to Kafka. And we have converters, which translate the data format between Kafka Connect and our external data sources. And we also have transforms, which can be used to alter each message produced or sent by Kafka Connect. Keep in mind that these transforms are very simple and lightweight and are applied per message. It cannot aggregate multiple messages, for example. And in this case, we need to use our application to do the heavy lifting. And all the connectors, tasks, converters, and transforms are actually executed by workers, which are just JVM processes running on our servers. Preferably, our workers are deployed on dedicated machines. It is not recommended to deploy them on our Kafka brokers. And Kafka Connect also has support for data letter queues. It's not a new concept. It has been around for quite some time, and it is implemented in other technologies as well. Let's dive a bit into each concept. First of all, workers. Kafka Connect can be deployed in two modes, the standalone mode and distributed mode. When running Kafka Connect in standalone mode, we have a single worker. And because of this, the scalability is limited. We are, of course, limited by the resources allocated to a single machine. And also, this operating mode doesn't provide any fault tolerance. And in standalone mode, the worker configuration and the connector configuration is stored in flat files on our machine's file system. And also the state of our tasks is stored in flat files. And we have the distributed mode, which needs at least one worker to operate. And of course, if we use a single worker, we have the same limitations of the standalone mode. But if we use two or more workers, then the scalability is improved, because now we can distribute our task across multiple machines. And Kafka Connect automatically coordinates the execution of our tasks across all available workers. And of course, now we have automatic failover capabilities. Each worker configuration is stored just like in the standalone mode in local files, but the difference is that now we have multiple workers and all of them need to communicate with each other. And this is achieved by using free Kafka topics. We have a config topic that stores the connector configuration. We have a status topic that stores the status of our running connectors and tasks. and we have an offset topics which stores the task offsets. And in a distributed mode, the connector and task management is done with REST calls, as opposed to standalone mode where we need to do this by adding some parameters and configuration files in the CLI. Moving on to connectors. These are the only technology-specific components in Kafka Connect, and they define how to integrate with a particular data source. And when when using the connector term, we can refer to a connector instance, which is just a logical job that copies our data, or we can refer to a connector plugin, which is a fat jar or a directory with multiple jar files that contains all our classes that implement or are used by the connector. So we have our worker process that can run one or multiple connectors, and we can easily scale our Kafka Connect cluster by adding more workers. And in this case, our workers will coordinate with each other and will schedule the execution of our connector instances. Let's talk a bit about tasks. Tasks are the main actor in the data model for Connect. And each connector instance coordinates a set of tasks that actually copy our data. Now we have two connectors, and connector one in this example has two tasks distributed across two workers, and we have a second connector that runs a single task. And we can scale not by just adding more workers, we can also configure more tasks in our connector instances. And for example, we can configure connector one, we can add two more tasks, and let's say in connector two, we can add 4 more tasks in order to the scalability and the parallelism. And Kafka Connect will try to evenly spread out all these tasks across all the available workers. And one thing I want to mention is that the number of configured tasks might be lower than the actual number of Kafka Connect is running. And this depends on the connector type and our environment. For example, we can have a connector that from a database table, and no matter how many tasks we configure for that specific connector, Kafka Connect will run a single task. But if we change our connector's configuration to read the data from multiple tables, then Kafka Connect will automatically instantiate more tasks and will increase the parallelism. Let's talk a bit about failover. So what happens if one of our workers fail? In this case, Kafka Connect will automatically rebalance our tasks across the remaining workers. So fault tolerance covers the failure of our workers. And one important aspect is that the fault tolerance does not cover task failures, because task failures are considered as an exceptional case. And for example, if a task fails, then we need to automatically, the task will not be restarted automatically by Kafka Connect, and we need to address this manually to investigate why that task has failed and remediate the problem. And from experience, in most of the cases, this is caused by an incorrect configuration on our connector instance, for example, when updating the configuration. And now converters. Apache Kafka does not care about our data format. All Apache Kafka only sees pairs of key value bytes. But this data format is very important for our applications and for Kafka Connect as well, in order to understand our data and to be able to process it. And for this purpose, Kafka Connect is using converters to change the data format, our data from a specific format to another. And we need to make sure that the connector that reads data from a Kafka topic is using the same serialization format as the connector that wrote that data to the topic. Converters are decoupled from connector, and this allows the reutilization of the connectors between multiple connectors. And there are various serialization formats. Some common formats are JSON, Apache Avro, Protobuf, or Limited. So let's see a bit the workflow our data. In case of a source connector, our connector is reading our data, which is stored in a native format specific for that external system. And the connector then converts that data into an internal representation of it, and it is passing the data to the converter. And after that, the converter is serializing that data, let's say in Avro format, and the data is written into Kafka, where it is stored as bytes. Something similar happens in the case of a sync connector. We have our connector that reads our data from Kafka, and our converter then deserializes that Avro data, which is converted into an internal representation data format specific for Kafka Connect. And this data is passed to our connector, which writes it to our destination using the data format specific for our target system. Transforms. I Transform is a simple function that accepts one record as input and it outputs a modified record. Transforms are also known as single message transformations. And we, like I've mentioned earlier, the transformations available in Kafka Connect are very simple and lightweight, and can be used to transform individual messages. We cannot do any aggregation or joins. And we can join multiple transformation together. And just to name a few of the available transforms, we have cast, which can convert the data type for one specific field into another data type. We have an insert field transformation that can be used to enrich our data. We can mask data in we read from our data source. We can convert timestamps and so on. And let's take a source connector as an example and see how are these transformations applied. So we have our connector, which reads data from our external source. And each record goes through a transformation chain. And the data is passed through our first transformation, which makes its configure modifications, and it outputs a modified record. After that, the record is passed to the next transform in the chain, which does its own modifications to the data, and it generates a new modified record, and this continues for our transforms defined in our connector configuration. And in the end, our modified data is passed to the converter and written into Kafka. Let's proceed with a demo. Let me share again my screen. First of all, for this demonstration, I am using Docker images provided by Confluent, and we have a Zookeeper container, a Kafka broker, a schema registry instance, a connect worker running in distributed mode, and in the Docker Compose file, we are installing two connectors, the JDBC connector and Elasticsearch. And for the JDBC connector, we also need the JDBC MySQL driver, which is installed. And we also have a MySQL and Elasticsearch. Let me check if my environment is running. Yeah, looks okay. Where did it go? And for the purpose of this demo, I am using a public provided by IMDb. And I have some that I've transformed that public data set into MySQL statements, and allows me to populate the databases. And let me check if the inserts are working. Okay, it looks like it's working. And in the demo, I will go through three converters: the string converter, JSON converter, and Avro converter. And I will also demo some of the available transforms. Kafka Connect, I don't think I've mentioned this in the presentation, automatically creates the necessary topics for us. And for example, let's see what topics are available in our Kafka broker. And these, let me increase a bit of font. And these are the three topics I mentioned, the topics used by Kafka Connect when running in distributed mode. And as I've mentioned, in distributed mode, all the configuration except the worker config is done using REST. And for example, we have this REST call against the connector plugins endpoint. And with this REST call, we can check what connector plugins we have installed on our worker. And we can see here that we have the Elasticsearch Sync connector and the JDBC Sync and the source connectors. And we can see if we have any running connectors using the connectors endpoint, and it returns an empty value, so we do not have any connector running. Now let's create a JDBC source connector. And for this, we need to specify the connector class, a connection URL, which is a JDBC connection string pointing to our MySQL server and to the database. And of course, we need a username and password. With this parameter, we are specifying which tables we want to pull from our database. And on the Kafka side, topics can be created using a topic prefix. So our new topic will be created as MySQL underscore names. And for the converter, we are using a string converter. I don't think I mentioned this. Kafka is our Kafka events are just pairs of keys and values, and we can have a converter for our keys, and we can have another type of converter for our values. In this specific example, we are not using keys, and I'm only changing the value converter. So let me create the converter. As we see here, inserts are working. And we can check the status of our connector with a simple curl call. And we see that the connector is running. It has a single task running. So everything looks okay. And now let's check if our topic has been auto-created. And we now see that we have a MySQL_names topic on our broker, and we can use Kafka cat to consume records from that topic. Let me copy paste this command. And data is nearly real time being read from our database and published into our topic. If we look at our data format, we see that it is a comma separated string. But practically this data structure is not that useful. Imagine that you will have to, all our applications will have to parse that data structure in order to extract the fields. And more suitable for this would be a JSON data structure. And we can easily change that structure by using the correct converter. And we can use more specifically the JSON converter. The configuration is identical to the one I've already used. The only difference is the JSON converter. So let's update our configuration. And let's check how our messages are written to the Kafka topic. And now we see that the data structure for our Kafka event is JSON. Actually, let me print this. Let's consume the last record, a single record, and go through JQ. And we can see that our event has an associated schema, which is converted from the data types used by our source, in this case MySQL, into data types specific for Java. And beside our schema, we have the actual payload of our message, which contains our keys and actually our information from our table rows. But one drawback with using this, of course, this format is more useful than the previous one because we have a schema associated with each message. But the issue is that now we have an overhead because our schema is published with every event we are sending into Kafka. And that overhead could be quite large if, for example, if we are sending tens of thousands of messages per second into Kafka. this has an impact on networking, as well on the disk storage in our Kafka brokers. And also we would need to use to find a way to version our schemas, because these schemas might be used by different teams, and it would be nice to have these schemas versioned somewhere. Confluent offers a free solution for this. It is a schema registry where you can push publish events using the Apache Avro format, and the schema registry stores all our schemas in a Kafka topic, and our applications can use that schema registry to get our actual schemas. And let's see how is this working. First of all, let's check if we have any schemas registered in our schema registry. I forgot to mention, most of the calls are made against the local host. This is because I've mapped the services running on containers to my local host, just to be easier to run these commands. So we do not have any schema registered in our schema registry. And let's change our connector configuration. We are using the Avro converter provided by Confluent, and this is free. And we also, in this case, we also need to specify where our schema registry instance is. So let's change the configuration and read information from our topic. Okay, as you can see, this information is not readable because Avro is a binary format, and we need to tell our consumer that these events are published in Avro format, and I'm specifying for Kafka-Cat the location of our schema registry, and that our values are Avro. And now let me consume a single message and pretty format it. No? And now we can see in our event payload that there is no schema associated with our event. And actually that schema, when we using Avro, is stored in the first byte of the event, and we cannot see that with Kafka-Cat. But the idea is that the schema ID is stored in each event we are publishing into Kafka, and clients consuming that topic can retrieve the schema and deserialize the event. Let's see the parallelism and scalability part. By default, you can control the number of tasks using the task max parameter, and by default this is 1. In earlier configs I did not specify it, but here I am specifically setting it as 4. And even though we've changed the number of maximum tasks to 4, let me print the running config. So here it is 4. We still have a single task running. This is because we are reading from a single table, and I don't know how you can parallelize that. Now let's add another table into our table whitelist and see what is going to happen. Okay, I have changed the configuration and let's see the status. Now we see that we have two tasks running. One is reading from a table and the other one is reading from the other table. If we would have two workers running here, then the second task would be assigned to that one. Let's move on to transforms. We are using again the JDBC source connector. And all we need to do is to specify our transforms, and this is just a label defined by us. And I want to convert the update TS field. Where is it? Here it is, which is stored as I think a large integer. And we want to change the that timestamp into more friendlier form and store it as a string. And we need to specify, so we need to specify the transform type, which is timestamp converter, the field we want to change, and some parameters specific to the transform we are using. And if I read now a single message from our Kafka topic, nothing happens. Why? Let me check the status. Oh no. Yes, this is because we have tried to change the data format for one field. In Avro, this is not a backward compatible change. You cannot change the data format of a specific field. The default compatibility level in schema registry is set to backward, and for this to work, we need to set that compatibility type to none. And also, if we look again at the status, we can see that the connector, not the connector, our task is in failed state, and it is not restarted by Kafka Connect, because this is a special event, let's say. Now let's change the compatibility type for our MySQL names topic. And we need, like I said in the presentation, we need to manually restart the task. So tasks 0 restart, and this is a post. And now our task is running, and if we consume a single message, we see that now that the update TS field is a string in the format we have specified. Let's showcase our transformations. One is cast and the other is mask field. Because let's say this is a perfect example. We have a database containing employees' personal information, and due, for example, GDPR reasons, we cannot export that data and store it into another system, and we want to mask these values. And for this to work, first we need to convert birth year and death year from integer to string, and I want their value to be redacted. And this is what we are doing here. To the transforms chain I have added two labels, one year to string that does the conversion from integer to string, and the mask years that are replacing the actual value with the redacted string. And let's change our configuration for the connector and consume. Now we can see that birth year, the data type is string and the value is redacted. For this specific record, there was no death year and the value is null. Now let's test async connector. First of all, our topic is polluted with different data types. We have used the strings and JSON formats and Avro, and this connector will throw an error. And the quick and dirty fix is to just delete the topic, as it will be automatically created by the JDBC connector. And for this Elasticsearch sync connector, we need to specify the topics from which we want to pull data and where is our Elasticsearch instance. And also we need to specify that our data is stored as Avro. Let me check the status. It is running. And you can see the mapping of our index in Elasticsearch with a quick REST call. And we see the data structure for our index. We have the same fields basically we have in our database and in our Kafka topic. And we can also use a curl to read the latest message produced, written into Elasticsearch. So let's run another one just to see that it's working. So here it is, we had Mick Jagger. On the next one we had this, and our message passed through our transformation and reach Elasticsearch in the way we want to. And I just want to mention, have some final words. There are many connectors available on Confluent Hub and on GitHub, and Kafka Connect is easy to deploy. We do not need any code, only configuration for the connectors. These were pros, and as cons, if you do not already have Kafka in your pipeline, then you need to deploy it, because Kafka Connect requires a Kafka cluster. And the connectors are written in Java. We cannot write them in different languages. And Kafka Connect does not support heavy transformations. And that's why we would need to use a more powerful engine. That was all from my side. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, there is one question on the chat. Daniel has asked, what's the difference between the T from that was marked in the ETL process and the transform part that's inside the connector?
Yeah, in that picture, I was trying to put Kafka Connect in an ETL context, where source connectors are doing the extract part, the sync connectors are doing the load, and that T was for the heavyweight transforms used by, let's say, streaming engine like Kafka Streams. And again, the transforms available in Kafka Connect are very lightweight. Those are single message transforms. You cannot aggregate or join multiple Kafka events. And in this case, you need to, you can use more advanced transforms in your application. Does this answer the question? You have
Yes.
other questions, you can type them in the chat and I'll look for them. Thank you very much.